pigments, as I mentioned before, especially when you come into the hair, you'll notice that leaves and ferns and your hair all are shaped like these antennas here. This is where the antennas come from. You get the FM aerials, the same thing that happened with a twig or beech leaf. They have what we call a logarithmic aerial shape. It's over and over again. All sciences should help you be more connected to nature. You don't have to know biology terms to understand health. You can know color. You can know music, because anything you understand has a healing ability to it. It's not restricted to someone who just knows biology. So don't get duped with the terms. Anything that I understand, you should be able to understand. And don't get lost in the terms. Just say, hey, break it down. I don't understand what you're saying there. Because a lot of things that we learn them just to keep us confused. One point of confusion is this. We learn that we have organs in our body, and everybody says we have organs in our body. Oh, that's true, you have organs in your body. And you have glands in your body. Yeah, that's true, you have glands in your body. Well, what's the difference between an organ and a gland? You have a sweat gland, right? The sweat gland does not make water. It just secretes water. The water is already made and it secretes it out. You call that sweating. So we know a sweat gland, a gland period, secretes something, but it doesn't make the something that it secretes. You follow me? If it makes something, it's an organ. If it secretes something, it's a gland. Is the pineal an organ or a gland? It makes something. It's a pineal organ. Not a gland. Does the thyroid make something? Thyroxine? Yeah. If it makes something, it's an organ. It is not a gland. The thyroid is an organ. It's just that the Europeans have such a low amount of melanin that the organs behave like glands. So they tell you all of them are glands. Why not? So you can't obtain a certain level of wellness because you're treating your body like it's a white man's body. Carter G. Woodson said this better than myself. He said we have been miseducated.
Yes.
And it's in science too. We have been miseducated. Do cells divide? Sure. Everybody goes to school. So, yeah, cells divide. You have never seen a cell divide in your life. A cell has a nerve attached to it and a blood supply attached to the nerve. A cell grows like a tree, which we call a stole, which is a melanin template. And then all the branches, the mitochondria, endoplasm, reticulum, grows like leaves around the melanin root. Cells grow like trees. Corpuscles divide. Cells grow. So you have someone who's been studying medicine or biology, and you come in their office and they're trying to treat you. Here you show up with all of these cells, and all they've ever studied was corpuscles. So how are you going to get so well with this person when they treat you like a corpuscle and you made a brain cells, nerve cells? It's just that we have been thoroughly miseducated because we have never been taught the word melanin. When you're studying melanin, someone should say the word melanin. If you're studying melanin particles called protons, electrons, and neutrons in chemistry, chemi mean black, black mean melanin, you're studying melanin, why don't you ever hear the word melanin? When what you're studying is melanin. Why is it no one wants to use this word melanin around you? Again, we have this concentration of color. It gets so concentrated that it appears black, and we call it black. Richard King calls it the black dot. We have black. It's concentrated melanin, and all these other colors come from it. This is the structure of what you call a pendulum. At the pinnacle of the pendulum is concentration of melanin, and then it spreads out like an umbrella. And you get these other colors, and that's what causes it to vibrate and spin. Oh, you've seen people use them. Some people use them to find out where to put their bed in their room, what foods they're allergic to. They put a pendulum over it. First they program the pendulum to say up like this meaning yes and like this meaning no, or they may program to say clockwise mean yes and counterclockwise mean no, and they put the pendulum over the food and say, oh, it's saying no, I shouldn't eat this, or I'm allergic to that. That's a good way of testing it, but first your body has to be clean, because your body is an instrument. So you're not going to get good results if your instrument is not good. And it kind of makes sense, you know that. Sick man, sick sperm. What's the problem? It's not hard to figure out. Maybe I shouldn't have used that word. It's not hard to figure out. So we're looking at the complex thing here, known as nucleus and molecules and all that sort of thing. And now we're looking at down the bottom, here's the neutrons and protons, which I was referring to. And then we have atom, the spinning, how the cells spin and rotate constantly. And what we're trying to do is plug into that kind of energy so we can get a better understanding of things. Now, what the Europeans are calling psychic healing is just when they're able to use their melanin to a little degree. I want to show you one picture here before I move on of all of the symbolism here. How we have the radiation of sunlight at the top, radiation and sunlight at the top. Then we have a divining rod right here. Then we have the Ankh right here, which is another divining instrument. And all of these were used to help put a person better in touch with their consciousness and with their spirituality. Because you can't treat one without the other. You can't be physically ill unless you're mentally ill. You can't be mentally ill unless you're spiritually ill. You can't have one without the other. Let me show you emotional illness. A person who's addicted to sugar has an emotional problem here. Sugar is associated with love and affection. So whenever they're not able to give love and affection properly or receive love and affection properly, they'll eat sugar. Because that's the emotional cause of being addicted to sugar. Sugar is associated with love and affection, your birthday, you know, Christmas, your Halloweenies and all that.
That's right.
So we associate sugar with love and affection. So when we're having problems with that, we eat a lot of sugar. Lord knows if you're on a job and you want white people to like you, you probably eat a lot of sugar. And you know people that are addicted to sugar because they always use the term. How you doing, honey? What'd you say, sweetie? You know they're addicted. That's all they ever talk about. What'd you say, sweetie? So I'm showing you again how the pyramid was used functionally. At the top, what you call the capstone is where the energy converted. See, energy changes direction. It can go this way, and then it changes direction and come back. And whenever energy changes direction, we call that ground. The energy is grounded. It's like the electrical symbol, or electrical signal that comes from your brain to go to my arm and say, arm move. The electricity goes down this muscle, and then it gets grounded. It changes direction. It comes back to my brain to say, I have moved. It's sort of like an electrical stove in your house. If the stove was grounded, it would never get hot because the electricity would go right back to the electrical company. You follow me? But since it's grounded in that hot plate on top of it, it causes a lot of heat. It's not grounded, it just ends there. So if the electrical signal comes from my brain to my arm through my muscle, if it ended here, this arm would heat up. But since it's grounded, it changes direction and comes back to my brain. So when we use ground, if we use it in a European sense, we mean one thing. If we use it in the African sense, we mean another thing. Just because we're using the same terms does not mean we're saying the same thing. That's the problem in science. A lot of times we're just not saying the same thing. And I want to warn you, you get some information here. You're not obligated to go around teaching white people what you learned. Don't make that mistake. They have enough colleges and universities and hospitals to get their act together. They do not need you teaching them. Walk 10 blocks away from them and teach a black child. Just don't be going around teaching them things. And even though you know that something is wrong, do not tell them it's wrong. You want to keep your enemy ignorant. Don't go around educating them. And I'm not trying to take y'all through Racism 101. I'm just trying to let you know some basic things